bright. Through the city he weaves like a bird in the sky. The legend of the electric scooter guy. No gas, no fumes, just a hum in the air. A helmet on crooked like he doesn't care. With a backpack full of snacks and a gleam in his eye. He's the hero we need, the electric scooter guy.
Hello, Scooter fam. Today, I thought I would do another four-way scooter comparison. It seems to be something that's been popular in the past, and it's been a while since I've done some of them, and so I'm gonna kind of circle back around and sort of, some things have changed. We got some new scooters coming out. Last time I did less than $3,000, and so today is going to be less than $2,000. And I have 4 scooters picked out: the Ausom F1, the MaxFun 10 Pro, the Emove Cruiser V2, and the Nami Klima. I'm going to go over them in order of price, so starting at the lowest up to the most expensive. Then I'm going to go through and offer my opinion on where they rank at for me, where I personally would rank them. And I will say I think we have some good contenders right here. These are my favorite 4 that I picked out at the moment for less than $2,000. So let's get into it. Starting with the Ausom F1 Max. It is $1,500, and it's a 60 volt, 20 amp hour battery, 20.8. So considering it's a 60 volt for $1,500. That's kind of a steal, to be honest. It's kind of a good deal, considering it's Ausom brand, which is not like the creme de la creme of scooter brands, but it's certainly a mid-tier reputable brand, in my opinion. So it's at least a mid-tier level brand that's, I think, fairly solid. I haven't heard a crazy amount of negative things surround it, but all scooters have their issues. In any case, this has a 1400 watt ×2 brushless motor. I'll see if that's try to see if I can figure out whether or not that's I'll try to find out if that's nominal or not. 62 miles of range. Obviously that's debatable. For that size of battery, I would expect, depending on how hard you ride it, 30-ish, maybe something like that. 30 to 40, depending on your other factors, size, like I said, the way you ride it, so forth. Me, I'd probably get 30-40 miles out of it for sure. I'd say around 40, closer to 40 for me. It's very similar to the Klima that I have, which is a 25 amp hour, so a little less than a Klima, and I get about 40 on the Klima, easy. And so this one, very close to the same. 45 mile an hour max speed, that's pretty good. 10x3, that's the same as I got on the Klima as well. Pneumatic rubber tires, I believe they're tubeless, but I'll try to confirm that real quick while we're looking around. 14 times 2, it still says dual motor, 45 hours, 72, 330 max weight. Let's go ahead and take a look at the specs real quick. So 45 miles an hour, charger 67 volt, brakes, front and rear hydraulic brakes. That's good. 10x3. Doesn't necessarily say tubed or not tubed. Still says motor 1400x2. Charging time 6 to 12 hours. That's pretty long. Probably could do for a better charger. Waterproof is terrible. IP54, that's one of the worst out there. 54. Haven't had 54 since I had my Journey Max. That was IP54. And a water rating is better than no water rating, but that's as low as it gets. while we're looking, I don't think I've done this before, but let's take a look at a couple reviews. Now, I don't want to spend a time on a lot of reviews that are positive, only because, or the most positive one, just because I think we know that it's a good scooter, but I just want to see if anyone has any negative things to say. Finally, stopped renting and I was able to ride. Cons: brakes need some work out of the box. Not a big deal. Alignment of the rotors. Okay, got it. No big deal to me either. Annoying issue: brakes are set up like Europe, while front brake is on the right and rear is on the left. That sounds right to me. But the biggest issues of brakes don't seem to do anything, and they get 3/4 of the way down, and it feels like they want to lock up, meaning there's way too much air in the line. There should be none. All right, so you bleed the brakes. I'm enjoying my scooter. Was hoping that I could have turn signals and USB charging. I would also like to make it easier to find the battery specs. No spec. Okay, so battery specs: 2060 volts. 50 psi. I mean, let's see if I can. It weighs about 80 pounds. Here we go. Rugged 10x3 road tires features deep trans, reinforced superior traction, puncture resistance, stability. I still can't confirm whether or not it's tubed or tubeless. A peak output of 38. Okay, so it is. They are nominal 1400 watt motors, which might explain how they get up to 45. So maybe that did it pretty easily. Overview. Yeah, the only thing I can't confirm is that the tires are tubeless and not tubed. Don't know that one for sure. All right, let's move on to the MaxFun 10 Pro. Now this is a 72 volt scooter. It's going to be the highest voltage system that we are looking at today. All the rest are 60 volts. It's only $1,600. Not bad considering it's a 72 volt system. It's also got a 45 mile an hour top speed, but considering you're getting out of 72 volts, not 60, should be a better 70, a better 45. Probably easier to reach top speed, and your ability to maintain 45 as the voltage drops from 72 down to 60 versus 60 down to in the 50s. So the power should stay there longer. You got an LG battery, 72 volt, 24 amp hour. This is only $100 more than the MaxFun. I'm sorry, than the Ausom F1 Max. Considering that you're also getting PMT tires, and let's see, I believe these are nut brakes, suspension. We'll go look see what they have. I know for sure they're PMTs on the scooter. 60 mile range, 4,000 watt 2 motors. I'm pretty sure that's peak. They do have the blue one only at this moment, but it does say it's in stock for the blue one. 1,500 watts times 2 dual motors. 45 miles per hour top speed, 60 miles per charge, 330. Similar thing. Let's look at the specs here. This is the 10 Pro. We got PMT tires, nut hydraulic brakes. I couldn't remember which ones they were, so I'm showing the Klima right here next to us. Interesting. Nut hydraulic brakes, front and rear hydraulic shocks. It doesn't say what kind of shocks. The battery is LG 7224. Dual 30 amp sound wave controllers, dual 40 amp controllers there, LED display, 87 pounds. It's a little heavier than the Klima, 330 versus 265. So they do have nut hydraulic brakes, Italian Racing, PMT tires, 10 inches, 45 miles an hour easy. I would say it probably has a bit more range than the Klima. Klima Max might be close because we're talking about 24 amp hours versus 30. 6 times 3 is 18. 7 times 2 is 4. So that's close. I wouldn't bet on it. I wouldn't bet on it getting more range than the Klima. You can probably hold that speed higher, longer, like I said, but I bet the range is very similar. So we've got the PMT tires, which are tubeless. I don't believe they put PMTs on tube tires. Maybe we did say that somewhere, but in any case, so 45 miles an hour, 72 volts. It's got a one-piece solid stem. There's things that I do like about the scooter. I've said it before. I think $15.99 is a great deal. I want to say it reached that before. Maybe it was $17.99 during the holidays, and I thought that was a good deal. So $15.99 for this scooter is definitely a deal, considering you get PMTs. It comes with the PMTs. It comes with the nut hydraulic brakes. You've got hydraulic shocks in the front and rear. I don't know if they're adjustable. I didn't see that they were adjustable or not. But 2025 sale, says limited stock available. Like I said, that's only the blue at the moment. They only have blue. So 4,000 watts is the peak. 1,500 is the nominal. But it's a 72 volt, 24 amp hour LG battery. So you get the name brand battery. You get PMT tires. You get nut hydraulic brakes. You get a 72 volt system, all for $15.99. That's pretty good, to be honest. So that's one reason I picked this scooter as one to go over. Now the next one, I'm pretty sure this is a recent price drop to a degree, but in any case, though, I was looking through all the scooters and I ran across the Emove Cruiser V2. This is the 60 volt system, and it's $1,700. There is a tax included, so it's probably going to be closer to $2,000 with everything. This is the dual motor version. Like I said, the 60 volt dual motor version. So for that price, I think that's really a good deal, if I'm being honest. Once again, considering it's a 60 volt. One of the only things I really don't care for on this scooter, everything else I really like, is the adjustable stem, the 2-piece stem. I'd rather it be just one solid piece. And this scooter would be really hard for me to pass up if it had a one solid stem. And for that price, it's tempting. But like I said, I don't like that adjustable stem. I know they're trying to cater to people being different heights, but yeah, it's not for me. 25 amp hour sine wave controllers, not quite as punchy as the as like the Klima or something like that. So it's gonna be sure it's nice, but it's not quite 40 amps. You have hydraulic 2-piston brakes, but I think they're Zoom. I think they're Zoom hybrid, or like unbranded Zoom or something like that. I believe they're Zooms. 44 miles an hour. That's decent. It has a decent range. 30 amp hours. Not bad. Not bad at all. It's 30, right? Let me get sure I'm telling the truth. Where's the specs at? Yeah, 60/30 LG. All right, so yeah, not bad. 30 amp hours, 60 volts. It's the same as the Klima Max. You got the split rims. That's always a nice thing if it works nicely, and supposedly it does on their Roadrunner Pro. So that's a really nice feature. They are tubeless, and you got the split rim, and you got hydraulic brakes. So It's definitely a decent scooter. Not too bad at all. Here's the specs. So it'll go 62 miles. The 60 volts, 30 amp hours. Charge times 9 to 12. That could be better. Controls 25 amp hours. 1,000 watt motors. 330-pound max weight. 85 pounds for the dual motor. IPX6. That's great. Hill climbing 20 degrees. Display 3.5 inch LCD. I like the display much better on this one versus the old one. Vertical thumb throttle I like. Tire type 2.10 by 3 tubeless. That's great. And like I said, it's got the split rims. Hybrid hydraulic, 140 millimeter rotors. Nice. Headlights, deck lights, brake lights, signal lights. So there is the Emove Cruiser V2 once again. So let's take a look at the Nami Klima. My favorite scooter. We are looking at the 25 amp hour because we are staying under $2,000. So the Klima Max would not work for this price, which is why I bought it, because I had a budget of $2,000. And instead of waiting and talking myself into going beyond my budget, I pulled the trigger and got the $2,000 Nami Klima. Technically, it was $1,899 at the time, and so I got it for $1,900. Of course, I didn't know at the time that that was because Fluid Free Ride was going out of business and they were trying to sell off the rest of their stock, but they didn't tell me that part. In any case, I could tell you all about the Nami Klima. It's my favorite scooter that I own. So I've got 10 by 3 inch tires. Got a 60 by 25 volt. We got 60 volt by 25 amp hours for a battery. Top speeds around 42 miles per hour. We've got front and back adjustable KKE shocks. We've got front and back 140 millimeter rotors, along with 2 caliper Logan brakes that come with it, hydraulic brakes. We have 40 amp hour sine wave controllers. It's got a lot of pickup, and so that's something that takes some getting used to, and takes a little a good touch. You really gotta be prepared for it, and you really gotta learn to work that throttle, that paddle style throttle. So let's go take a look and to see. Weighs about 80 pounds roughly. Max speed 42. Dual motor 1,000 watts. Frame one piece tubular aircraft aluminum. 50 degree climbability. I wouldn't doubt it. 80 pounds, as I said, roughly. I think in real life it weighs just over 80 pounds or something like that. Front and rear adjustable KKE shocks. It's got a large TFT display. It's certainly large enough. I actually think it's the perfect size. Max range 50 miles. That's cool that y'all kind of on point with that. 18 miles an hour, 160 pound rider. Back when I got mine, I was 1 in 160. I'm 1 in 160 now. Today I'm 168. But I was getting 50 miles, and I'll say I was like 180, maybe something like that. And I wasn't, doing 118. I wasn't doing 18 miles an hour. I might have been averaging like 15 to 20 somewhere in there. And I was getting 50 miles. That says max range, which is interesting. I usually get 40 to 50. So if you're not driving it really hard, you can get 40, 50 miles out of it. Because I did. I do. Controllers, once again, dual 40 amp sine wave controllers, 265 pounds. Charge time 48 hours. My experience, 4 to 6. I don't let it go all the way to 0. So I assume if you did, it would take 8, but I've never dropped it below like 20%. And so it's usually like 4 to 6 for me. 2-piston Logan hydraulic brakes, IP55, which is in the middle. It's just okay. And I've upgraded my 2-piston to 4-piston, and I did upgrade my tires to PMTs as well. Everything else, I believe, is pretty standard. But anyway, speaking of the Klima, since we're talking about it, I did have to do some recent stuff, which ended up turning out kind of interesting, and maybe it's the way I approach it or whatever. But my back tire started losing air pretty rapidly. Well, not rapidly, but it was a slow leak that would end up deflating pretty much all the way over a couple of weeks' time. So a slow enough leak to go to 0 over a fairly short time period, in a week or so, and so I removed the tires. My plan was to I bought some armadillos, and I was considering pre-treating them anyway, and so I did pre-treat the. Well, first I tried to find the hole or what was causing the leak, and I did so, spraying the edge of the rim. I sprayed the tire. Everywhere I sprayed, I could not find a leak anywhere. I used soapy water and I spray it. I couldn't see any bubbles pop up at all anywhere around the rim, anywhere on the tire, nothing. And so this is in the rear, and I wasn't having any problems in the front, which is interesting. But I believe that's the front was the ones I was having problem with before. In any case, what I did was I went ahead and pre-treated it with armadillos, and so hoping my armadillos would seal whatever it was that needed to be sealed, and so I did that, and so that and then I went ahead, since I was treating the rear one, the front one, rear one, I was going ahead and treat the front one as well, pre-treat them, both. And so to do that, I've got to let all the air out. And when I let all the air out, I break the bead, and just I have to take it and go to or I did on the rear one. I have to take it up to the convenience store and get it to with the compressor and get it to seal the bead. And then on the front, I actually was able to get it to seal myself. But the interesting thing is, I probably should have went to the convenience store to seal it myself before trying to get it to seal or whatever. I should have got a proper seal. For whatever reason, when I started airing it back up, it held, and because I pre-treated it on where I think the seal, it didn't really seal like the best it could have. There was some armadillos on there that kind of was like just end up sealing it itself, and so in any case, they're both sealed the right way. But I if I start having problems with that one, I may have to deflate it, take it back up there, pop it out with the compressor, get it to seal properly, and then air it back up again. But it went ahead and aired up, and so I didn't. I was like, I don't want to have to go up there, I don't want to go up there if I don't have to. So I didn't. But just kind of want to give you guys update on that. The PMTs do really well for a certain time, but for some reason, they end up getting slow leaks, and on both instances, when I deflated the tires, the bead broke, and the second one I was able to get myself back sealed again to some degree, and the other one wouldn't. I couldn't get any pressure in it at all, and I had to take it up to the convenience store and use their compressed air. Just a little side note. All right, so let's go. Now that's from order from least expensive to most expensive, with the Klima being $2,000. Well worth it in my opinion. Right now, for the money, What are the controllers on here? Does it say just 30 amp controllers? I mean, you got 72 volts, you got 30 amp controllers. When I was looking at the Klima, I was looking at this scooter at the same time, and I believe when it either this, I believe right after I got the Klima, this one went down to like $17.99. At the time, I think it was $21.99, and the Klima was $18.99. Because I was looking back between these two at the moment and at the time, and I was really close. So in my mind, like they're pretty comparable as far as specs goes. Now, since I've owned the Klima, I have a really great appreciation for it, just in general for what it is, and so I don't want to be biased on these. And for the money, 1,600 versus 1,900, like that's $400. It's close. These two are close to me. At the moment, I'll just say it. I'm gonna put this out there. At the moment, for $15.99, I think the MaxFun 10 Pro is a better deal than the Nami Klima. I still like the Klima better than the MaxFun 10 Pro. So if they were the same price, it would be a no-brainer. Nami Klima all day. But you got the 72 volts here. You got the PMTs that already come with it. You got some decent brakes. You don't have the shocks. But for $1,600 versus $2,000, that's just, it's, for me, I will go with the MaxFun 10 Pro. And yeah, for now, this will be my number one pick. So, and that's just bang for the buck, And I'm certain that it's not as nice of a scooter as the Nami Klima, but it's quite a bit cheaper, and in this particular case, I think a little bit better value. So that being said, the Nami Klima will be my number two. $19.99 is a crazy deal for the Klima. Well, I would pay $2,000 all day for the Nami Klima 25 amp hour battery. I would. The Klima Max, 22, 23 max at the most. $22.99. That's the most I'll pay for the Klima Max. At the moment, I don't remember if they had the Max in stock or whatever the case may be, but $18.99 was the deal I couldn't pass up. $19.99 I would pay all day. $18.99 was too good of a deal, and so I had to go with that. So in any case, my number two pick is going to be the Nami Klima. For the money and everything, it's just a great scooter, and so I'm going to have to pick it as my number two. All right, I'm not sure how I'm going to go with these. Let me think about this for a second. Including taxes, that's going to be closer to $2,000. This one, I believe, is just straight up $1,500. If I remember correctly, 60 volt 20 amp hour versus 60 volt 30 amp hour for the Emove Cruiser V2. 45 max is the same top speed. 330 pounds, very close. Like I said, it's a 20 amp hour versus 30 amp hour, but it is less expensive. 1,400 times 2. Let's see. It's got a terrible waterproof rating. 330 pounds. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest on this one. I do think that's a good deal, but there's too many ways that this one beats it out. Yeah, it's got the larger battery, 30 amp hour, which is gonna mean for quite a longer distance, over 20 amp hour. I mean, it's the lowest, smallest battery of the four here for the Ausom F1 Max. Sure, it's a great scooter for $1,500, and if you have a $1,500 budget, it may be one of the best scooters you can get for that price. But right now we're looking at under $2,000 at the moment for these in this category, and for that reason, I'm gonna pick the Emove Cruiser V2 as my number 3 choice for the dual motor system at $1,700 plus tax right now. I do think that's a good deal for this particular scooter for the dual motor 60 volt. I think that's a good deal. And then the Ausom F1 Max, it had a large part to do with the water rating. I mean, the fact that it's like IPX6 is great. Shows that they're really conscientious of their quality and longevity of their scooters. And so I gotta give the Emove Cruiser V2 on that one. So although I think it is a pretty good deal for this scooter, all these scooters on this list are good deals, or they probably wouldn't have made it on the list. And so that's where I'm at. I got the MaxFun 10 Pro at number 1, the Nami Klima at number 2, the Emove Cruiser V2 dual motor at number 3, and the Ausom F1 Max at number 4. They're all great scooters. I wouldn't necessarily make those decisions if I were to make a decisions, but that's my opinions on where they rank. Obviously, I already own the Klima, so I wouldn't be buying that. And nothing here really would replace my Klima, so I probably wouldn't be looking at getting any of these scooters for myself. But nonetheless, that's my take on these 4. I think they're probably the best 4 out there right now, in my opinion, for that price, for under $2,000. And so I hope you guys enjoyed the information. Let's take a look at some footage. All right, so this is the part of the video where I just kind of chat and go over some ride footage. This is not a very long ride. It's actually around my test course. I had not taken the Apollo City around the test course yet, so I can talk a little bit through that as I'm going. I am going to do a video on the Apollo City in the future. I'm closing in on 200 miles right now, so I'm going to do a 200-mile update on the Apollo City, and give my sort of review. And I'm going to be using the scorecard again to go over all of the features and so forth, the things that I like and don't like, or whatever, how I grade them out. So I'll be grading the city out same way I did the Segway Max G3, same way I did the Nami Klima now. I'm going to do the Apollo City. I'll be doing the same thing for the Apollo Go. But I want to take them all out on this test course first. I have not this is besides the Max G3 and now the City. That's the only 2 scooters that I've taken on the test course that I call the test course now. So I kind of get a feel of exactly the same situations for each scooter. Now I use things like going to the stores and stuff. I compare those trips. But this one, it gives me a little bit of everything. I had to jump out in the traffic for just a brief moment. I got some pretty large sidewalks. I've got some more narrow sidewalks. I've got some back roads. I've got some grass to contend with. Got a little bit of everything to put them through the test. And so I kind of get a feel like how they do under pretty much the exact same route. And like I said, it offers a little bit of everything. So I don't normally go through the grass on my daily travels, but this has a couple places that I'm forced to do that. And so I get to test that out there. Like I said, it gives me a little bit of everything, and then a nice smooth, big large sidewalk on the way back there at the end. This UPS driver almost pulls out on me, as you see up here, and then he looks at me. He's like, "I'm like, dude, what are you doing, bro? Like, there's cars coming. I'm coming. Everything. I don't know what he was thinking." But anyway, so like I said, I'll be doing a scorecard and review on the Apollo City 200 miles when I get there. I think I'm going to be closing in on 200 as well on the Apollo Go. So I'll do a similar video with that. Like I said, once I get done with the test course. I've done my review of the Nami Klima, closing on 500 miles now, and so I've done that. But I'll go ahead and do a scorecard of the city, and one on the go as well. As I as soon as I get a chance to do that. But in any case, I'm on a test track today, going over. It's not something I've not done. I don't know how many times as far as this particular path right here. This is a bike path. I travel quite a bit, so I'm used to it. Although it does change. If you notice, like all these little corrections and little black lines, like they're constantly coming in and fixing cracks and filling up holes, and new holes pop up and new cracks pop up, and so you're likely to hit something that wasn't there before. Any given day, you never know. So if you see right up here, they actually filled in a hole. It's coming up on the left side of right here. This black top looking stuff. That was a hole, just a big sinkhole looking thing that just popped up there one day, and so you kind of had to be on your game going through there if you didn't want to get messed up with that one. Then there's another one coming up here as well. They actually had a cone. They were blocking that one. It was such a large hole, and because that would probably cause something quite serious. And so you'll see that coming up in the near future as well. This guy's passing me up. I think I looked at it. This is like a Go Tracks. What's it called? The Flex, I think it was. I looked it up. There's a Flex and a Flex Max. I went back and paused the video and just, I do that a lot if I see a PEV of some kind pass me up, just out of curiosity. I want to know, like, what are they riding? You know, I saw one guy had an Anioki. I couldn't even tell that before I stopped the video and got a good look at the bike. You know, I just glanced at it, but I'm like, oh, he's on an Anioki. And then I saw the guy on the Solar, which I thought was a Solar, but I confirmed that it was the EQ. There's that place I was talking about right there that they filled in. And so, like I said, if I see a PEV and it comes in close proximity to me, I'll try to identify it. Sometimes it's a little far away, and even if I zoom in, it gets pretty grainy, and I can't always tell. Like if it's on the other side on that sidewalk over there, it'd be very unlikely that I'll be able to pick out what that is. With the Solar EQ, it wasn't quite this far away. It was on. I believe it was on a tad closer proximity because it was kind of like bike lane to bike lane, which wasn't too bad as opposed to like this sidewalk way over here and versus that sidewalk way over there. And the fact that I'm just really familiar with the Solar EQ, so it was easy for me to kind of spot. And then I went back, like I said, confirmed it. That's what it was. I've heard of some other scooters. I've heard of one or two other electric unicycles, but I never seen them. For the most part, I see scooters, e-bikes, and those little scooters like the Caroma, that Go Tracks Flex. You know, those little sit down kind of scooters. That one goes like 15 miles an hour and gets like 18 miles of range. They're pretty cool little things. Got a little basket in the back, and the kid was actually wearing a helmet. So that's pretty cool. I mean, for something like that, you know, I don't even know if I'd be too nervous about going 15 miles an hour and not wearing a helmet. It wouldn't scare me that much. But you know, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. So that was pretty cool. one of the things about, like right here, it's a pretty big little, and you got to kind of pop a wheelie. Now, if I'm going over on my V11Y, it's nothing. Like as long as I hit it going straight and don't let my wheel to kind of get caught in the groove, then it's not a problem at all. If I lift up a little bit, it's even less of a problem. It's almost non-existent. But even with the scooters, and I have to like pull up, I still get a clunk, when it hits in the back, of course. And then, like I said, on the V11Y, it's just non-issue. It's just a hard noticeable little dip there. But in any case, the city did pretty well today. Obviously, the difference is the difference between the scooters and the unicycle. For one, is just I'm much quicker on the scooters. Like I'm much faster, much more confident at speed. I just have more experience, at speed. In general, I have more confidence on the EUCs in general. Like once again, going over bumps at night, because I just don't have to worry about the bumps coming up as quickly, and being a big deal. It's hardly ever an issue, and so I get pretty confident riding the unicycle. But as far as getting up, past 22 miles an hour on the unicycle, I still haven't done. I still haven't really been in a situation where that's been required, really necessary, and so I'm just going by feel. I did it the same way for the longest time with my Journey Max, and then of course I went from the Journey Max to the Klima, and even then I was only going 25 miles an hour for the longest time. On average, got to 27 maybe a couple times until I got to city, which is when I hit 30, going down the street by accident. And then I was like, wow, this is 30 miles an hour. At that point, I had only hit 30 in a parking lot before with the Klima, which I had to bring to a stop pretty quickly. And I didn't really enjoy that, having such a short runway, so to speak, to get up to speed. So that speed run ended there. Something like this, if I got out on the street and I didn't have to worry about anything, I could try to get my speed up on the EUC. But the truth is, I'm not always confident. I'm waiting for it to come more naturally. As I get more and more confident, leaning forward, it'll start happening. It'll start happening naturally. I'll check my data, because I don't watch my speed when I'm riding like that. It's easy on the scooter because I have it right there to look at, glance down, but not so much on the unicycle. In either case, like I said, I'm much faster, I'm much quicker on the scooters, especially the on the city, just because I'm so confident. I'm going like 25 right here. I can never go 25 on the unicycle right here. There's not enough confidence there for me to do something like that. It's even right here, like I probably could get up to like 15 to 20 at the most right there, but I actually like to have a little more room going 20. Coming up here with these twists and turns, it would be the same, about 15 to 20. And then once I get around this corner up here and start heading towards the road, that's when I really get up in my speed. That's where I got up to 28 on the Max G3. I can get up just as fast as I need to get up to just about any scooter. The Klima, it being 42 miles an hour, if I did try to get all the way up to 42, it just depends. If I started way back here, maybe. But there's that road up there, and right when by the time I'm getting up to 42, me having to try to slow down real quick it's the part that I don't like. If I knew I had time to get up there and then let off and come to a more controlled stop, I feel more confident about that. But the last thing I want to do is get up to 42 and then have to come to a stop too quickly just because I'm trying to get my speed up intentionally. So I just haven't done that. Not really in a hurry to do that. I don't care if I ever get the Klima up to 42 miles an hour. It's not going to make a big difference in my life. If the situation called for it, I may attempt that. If there was a road I couldn't go down, and the only way I could get on was on a road that I could go 45, and I really felt confident in that section to do that, it could happen. That road that I go down on the bike lane, I'm pretty confident on that road. So, I'm not sure how fast I got up to that one day. I kind of jumped out there. I didn't go to 42, but I could have gotten quite a bit past 30 that day. I wasn't looking at the speedometer, speed limit. I wasn't looking at that. I was looking at the ground, and I was looking at where I was going ahead of me. So, because I was going pretty quick, and I got up pretty quick. But I was jumping out in traffic. I was on the Klima just for that short little period, and so I went ahead and just kind of punched it a little bit. Like I said, I knew what scooter I was on, so I just gave it a little extra something and got out there. And like I said, I'm not sure how fast I got up to. I think it'll go up to like 37 or 39, something like that. Without being in turbo mode. I wasn't X mode, but I have them all turned up. So it doesn't matter which, other than eco mode, it doesn't matter which mode I'm in. I have the full amount of top speed unlocked. So it's the acceleration, how long it takes you to get up there. So I ride around in sports mode, so it was in sports mode when I did that, which is the middle mode. Like I said, though, I get plenty of acceleration in sports mode, all that I can handle. So I don't necessarily look to push that. As you can see, the scooter does great in the grass. I had no real issues with it. It's not a scooter that I take in the grass. I don't take my scooters in the grass like this. I just don't. I did it a little with my Journey Max, but I found a lot these little dips and stuff like that to kind of be very, very tough to ride through. Like right here, this is not exactly pleasant on a scooter. So it's not something I would normally do. On a unicycle, it's a little bit nicer. I think once again it's just because of how your legs and knees are kind of sitting over it. It's just absorbing those little ups and downs is easier on a unicycle. Then a scooter, you've got two things. You got the front and the back doing like this as you're going. With the unicycle, you're just doing like this. And so if your knees are flexed and you've got some good suspension and you're kind of allowing your knees, and so you're allowing the give in your knees to handle the bumps. I mean, it's a real nice little experience doing that versus the scooter. So can't beat it. However, like I said, this scooter handled it fine. I'm going, I don't remember how fast I got up to right here on this little stretch. I'm pretty sure I've gotten up to 30 or close to 30 on here. I got pretty fast up here on the Klima one time without realizing I was going out. I'm going like 26 right there, 28, 29. I think that's as fast as I get up to on this one right here. It's 29 miles an hour. But I can't get over 22 on the same stretch on the unicycle. It may be how far I'm having to lean, because on the unicycle you've got to keep leaning, and if I start to lean past the point where I'm comfortable leaning, it becomes, you just become less confident because you haven't explored that area quite as much. And in any case, I'm not able to get the same amount of speed off similar stretches. And the truth is, the EUC is I have a lot more narrow because it's just me and there's no handlebars, and so I should be a lot more confident. But like I said, it's just a feeling of it. I have the city day number 2. I was on the city going 30 miles an hour, so that just speaks a lot to what the city is and what it does best. And so didn't even realize I was hitting 30, and I hit 30 without a problem. And after that was interesting because I went and watched a video from Happy Tail, or it was actually Juice Joyrides or something, his other channel. And he said the same thing. I thought that was interesting because I was just I didn't know that I just want to see what he thought about the city because he did a review, and he said the same thing. He got up to 30 miles an hour. He did the same thing I did. Like, I didn't think I actually got up to 30, so I tested a GPS. He tested a GPS. Same thing. Like, I was off by maybe 1 mile an hour, so I was hitting 30, 31. So I legit hit 30 miles an hour, without even realizing I did it. Actually thought it was wrong, and so it just handles those speeds like amazingly well, better than any scooter I've ridden to this point. As far as like ride feel overall, like I said, it's not the suspension's just super plush or anything like that. In fact, it's not a hard suspension, but it's certainly compared to like the Klima with the super soft suspension, it is a little bit more stiff compared to the Klima. It's still decent. The bumps aren't crazy, but you do notice them. But it just doesn't affect the ride. It doesn't make it feel unstable. If you hit a bump, it may not be buttery smooth when you hit it, but it's not going to throw you off either. The scooter is very planted, and feels very, very, very confidence inspiring when you ride it at its top speed, which is only 31 miles an hour, somewhere around there. So I think it goes to 32. I might have gotten up to 32 before, but most situations I can get it right there at 30 miles an hour, really with no problem at all. And plenty of times I reach it without even realizing I got there. So like I said, that's just really what I like most about the city, hands down. Obviously, there's no other scooter as far as that goes that can compare to it. The stability at speed, and planted, how planted it feels, not just stable. The Klima is stable. There's no wobbleness or anything like that, but sits higher up. The suspension is a bit more bouncy, so you're just kind of bouncing around going 30 miles an hour. You don't feel like you're going to fall or anything, but when you're lower and you're just a little bit more planted and the suspension is a tad more stiff, you don't feel like you're going to fall off, but you just kind of get used to the little bumps. It's not a big deal. So if you're familiar with the road that you're on, and your knees are bent and so forth, I mean the city, Apollo City is going to be like the best ride up to 30 miles an hour that I can recommend personally. For your city stuff, your 30 mile an hour stuff, dude, I've not ridden a scooter to this date that handles it as well as the city. And I've ridden at this point a fair amount of scooters that go roughly that, but it's just so solid, and it just feels so grounded and everything. Similar to what I would expect the Segway GT2 to feel, or the GT1 even. The way they're designed, they even have a longer base and really close to the ground and really solid feel to them. But yeah, that's pretty much about it as far as, like I said, the city goes. Closing in on 200 miles with this ride. Actually, I did make one more trip after this, and I'm squeezing in as much scooter footage as I can. Most of my rides are now are on the EUC, just because I'm still trying to get as much experience as I can before the expo. I'm doing pretty well, but I just want to, at this point, I'm not, I'm just trying to get as much as I can. Certainly when I go in there and get over and try to do some testing on those. I know it's going to be difficult because, I'm going from a 66-pound EUC to a who knows what's going to be there. But if I'm jumping on like an 80 to 100-pound unicycle, that's different. I went ahead and just moved this thing out of my way, or everybody else's way. I could have got around it, but I noticed when I started pushing, it started like beeping and braking and stuff like that, like I was trying to steal it. But I just pushed over in the grass and got back going on my way. So somebody else didn't have to like weave around it or whatever. So whatever the case may be, like I said, that's pretty much it. I'll do another, except my next video, I'll probably try to get into the scorecard for the city and go over that. But if you enjoy this content and you found it helpful, please like, share, and subscribe. And happy riding.
Yo, meet up spot. Yo, everybody's charging, swapping crash stories, comparing mods. Yeah, it's that time again. Mount up. Let's ride, sun up or twilight, rolling deep like the city got a spotlight. One wheel, two wheels, doesn't matter what you bring. If it moves and it grooves, then you're part of the ring. Let's ride, let the motors hum, from the quietest cruise to the wildest run. Every light turns green when the cruise in sight. Kick, push, twist, throttle, yeah, let's ride. Dave on the Nami, chrome bars wide, Klima looking clean with the burn on the side. Jess on the Phantom, hoodie in the breeze, Apollo City sleek, moving fast with ease. Liam pulled up on a Segway GT, tall stands, bright lights, yeah, that's hard to beat. Some kid on a cruiser, first ride vibes, wobbling a little but still high five. Y'all ready? I shout, circle Titans in, phones up, GoPros, yeah, let's begin. Let's ride. No route, no plan, just a crew in the streets, in the wind we command, in motion flow, we go bounce. Sleeper King tanks hit every ounce. Let's ride. No stress, just glide. From the suburbs out to the east side. If you hear that hum on the tire slide, pull up to the line. Let's ride. Red light turn green and the pack takes flight. Sherman S front line like a beast in flight. And more road runners zipping past the pack. Seat low, fast go, never looking back. Solar FF with the neon twist. Got a speaker playing funk with a holiday wrist. Cabo Kings with the King GT. Taking curbs like a champ, full sin, no plea. Mid-ride ball, someone popped the tire. But we fixing that fast like a pit crew fire. Slow down, groove, then ramp up. Tunnel echo in the midnight air. All lights dancing like a PV fair. Drift turn, crowd cheer, someone wipes out. Gets up laughing, that's what it's about. Onyx rear tail glow like a comet trail. EUC's carving tight.